The Penthouse Meeting. Part 1, Rising Storm. Setup, the Summons and Anticipation. Chapter 1. The email arrived at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday, just as I was preparing to leave for the weekend. From Damian Cross. To Sophia Martinez. Subject, tonight Penthouse 7 p.m. Sophia. I need you at my penthouse tonight at 7 o'clock sharp. Bring the Meridian files. This cannot wait until Monday. DC. My fingers froze over my keyboard. I read it again. Then a third time. Damian Cross, CEO of Cross Industries, youngest billionaire in Manhattan, and the man who made my pulse race every time he walked past my desk, was summoning me to his penthouse. Tonight. Oh God, I whispered to my empty cubicle. My friend and fellow junior executive, Mia, appeared over the partition wall like a concerned prairie dog. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I turned my monitor toward her. She read the email, and her eyes went wide. Holy shit, Sophia. The penthouse? It's about work, I said quickly, though my heart was hammering. The Meridian acquisition. I've been the lead analyst on it for 3 months. Maya raised one perfectly sculpted eyebrow. At 7 p.m.? On a Thursday night? In his penthouse? It's urgent business. She didn't look convinced. And it has nothing to do with the way he stares at you during board meetings? Or how he always finds excuses to stop by your desk? Or that time at the company gala when you two disappeared onto the balcony for 20 minutes? Heat flooded my cheeks. We were discussing the acquisition strategy. In the moonlight. Alone. While he looked at you like you were the only woman in the world. Maya. I'm just saying, girl. Damian Cross doesn't invite junior executives to his penthouse for business meetings. He has offices for that. Boardrooms. Conference calls. She leaned closer, her voice dropping. When a man like that asks you to his private residence after hours, he's not thinking about spreadsheets. My stomach flipped. I wanted to argue with her, to insist this was purely professional. But the truth was, I'd felt it too. The electricity that crackled between us whenever we were in the same room. The way his dark eyes lingered on me just a fraction too long. The accidental touches that felt anything but accidental. 3 months ago, Damian had personally selected me to lead the Meridian analysis team, a huge honor for someone only 2 years out of business school. I'd been working 18-hour days, determined to prove I deserved the opportunity. But every late-night meeting in his office had become a test of my willpower. He was brilliant, intense, and absolutely devastating in his tailored Tom Ford suits. At 35, he'd built an empire from nothing, and his reputation was legendary, in business and in his personal life. The tabloids called him Manhattan's most eligible bachelor. The business press called him a genius. Women called him many things, none of them appropriate for the office. And now he wanted me in his penthouse. What are you going to wear? Maya asked, snapping me back to reality. I glanced down at my conservative navy dress and blazer. This? She made a sound of disgust. Absolutely not. Come on. We're going shopping. Maya, I don't have time. You have 2 hours. Let's go. Chapter 2. An hour and a half later, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, barely recognizing myself. The dress Maya had insisted I buy was elegant but devastating, a deep burgundy that hugged my curves before falling in soft folds to just above my knee. The neckline was modest enough for business but cut to hint at what lay beneath. I'd left my dark hair down instead of in its usual professional bun, letting the waves fall past my shoulders. A touch of makeup accentuated my dark eyes and full lips. I looked like I was going on a date, not a business meeting. It is just business, I told myself firmly. You're overthinking this. But my hands shook slightly as I gathered the Meridian files into my leather portfolio. I'd analyzed every aspect of this acquisition, the financial models, the market projections, the integration strategies. I knew this deal inside and out. If Damien wanted to discuss it, I was prepared. For business. That's all this was. The lie felt hollow even in my own mind. I called an Uber, too nervous to trust myself on the subway. As the car wound through Manhattan's evening traffic, I watched the buildings grow taller and more expensive. We passed from my modest neighborhood into the realm of the ultra-wealthy, where penthouses cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. The rain that had been threatening all day finally began to fall as we pulled up to Cross Tower, a gleaming monument to steel and glass that dominated the skyline. Damien owned the entire building, but he lived in the penthouse suite at the very top. Of course he did. The lobby was all marble and modern art, with a security desk that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. I gave my name to the guard, who checked his computer and nodded. Mr. Cross is expecting you, Ms. Martinez. Private elevator to your right. It will take you directly to the penthouse. My heels clicked on the marble as I walked to the elevator. The doors opened silently, revealing an interior of polished wood and mirrors. There was only one button. I pressed it. The ascent was so smooth I barely felt it, but my stomach dropped anyway. 67 floors in less than a minute. When the doors opened, I stepped directly into Damien's penthouse. And stopped breathing. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped around the entire space, offering a panoramic view of Manhattan glittering in the rain. The apartment was a study in masculine elegance, dark hardwood floors, leather furniture, modern art that probably cost more than my car. A fireplace crackled invitingly against one wall, and soft jazz played from invisible speakers. But none of that mattered because Damien Cross was standing by the windows, and the sight of him made my knees weak. He'd removed his suit jacket and tie. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. His dark hair was slightly mussed, as if he'd been running his hands through it. At 6'3", he commanded any space he occupied, but here in his private domain, he was absolutely overwhelming. He turned when he heard the elevator, and his eyes locked onto mine. Time stopped. Sophia. My name on his lips sent shivers down my spine. Thank you for coming. I forced myself to move forward, to remember how to breathe and speak like a professional adult. Of course, Mr. Cross. You said it was urgent. Damien, he corrected, moving toward me. We're not in the office now. That was exactly what I was afraid of. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and utterly masculine that made me want to lean closer. Can I take your coat? I'd almost forgotten I was wearing it. I shrugged out of my trench coat, and I didn't miss the way his eyes traveled over the burgundy dress, lingering just a moment too long. You look beautiful, he said quietly. Thank you. I brought the Meridian files. I held up my portfolio like a shield. You said you needed them? Something flickered in his dark eyes. I did. But first, can I offer you a drink? Wine. Something stronger? Wine would be nice. He moved to a bar that probably cost more than my annual salary and poured 2 glasses of red wine that I was certain was older than I was. When he handed me a glass, our fingers brushed, and electricity shot up my arm. To successful acquisitions, he said, raising his glass. To success, I echoed, taking a sip. The wine was incredible, rich and complex and utterly perfect. Damien gestured to the leather sofa near the fireplace. Please, sit. Make yourself comfortable. I perched on the edge of the sofa, very aware of how the dress clung to my thighs. Damien sat in the chair across from me, close enough to be intimate but far enough to be professional. Almost. I've been reviewing your analysis of the Meridian acquisition, he began, and I felt myself relax slightly. This was familiar territory. Business. Numbers. Things I understood. Your work has been exceptional, Sophia. Truly impressive. Thank you. I've put everything I have into this project. I know. I've watched you. His voice dropped lower. The late nights, the dedication, the brilliance you bring to every aspect of the deal. Do you know why I chose you to lead this analysis? Because you believed I could handle it? Because you're extraordinary. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his eyes intense on mine. In a company of talented people, you shine brighter than anyone else. Your mind, your work ethic, your instincts, they're remarkable. My heart was pounding. I appreciate that, Mr. Cross. Damien. Damien, I corrected, his name feeling intimate and dangerous on my tongue. But I'm just doing my job. No. He shook his head. You're exceeding every expectation I had, and my expectations were already high. The Meridian board is meeting Monday morning, and because of your work, we're going to close this deal. Do you understand what that means? A significant expansion for Cross Industries? A transformative one. And you made it possible. He stood, moving to the windows, his silhouette dark against the rain-streaked glass and the city lights beyond. I wanted to thank you personally. Away from the office, away from the politics and the hierarchy. I wanted you to know that I see you, Sophia. I see everything you've accomplished. I stood as well, drawn toward him despite every professional instinct screaming at me to maintain distance. That means a lot coming from you. He turned, and suddenly we were closer than I'd intended. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Close enough to see the gold flecks in his dark irises, to count the slight stubble on his jaw. Does it? His voice was rough. Because I worry that you don't understand just how much you've impressed me. How much I think about you. How difficult it's been to maintain professional boundaries when all I want. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. The air between us was electric, charged with everything unsaid. When all you want is what? I whispered. His eyes dropped to my lips. Sophia. The warning in his voice only made me braver. Or more reckless. I wasn't sure which. Tell me why I'm really here, Damien. Chapter 3. The silence stretched between us, heavy with tension and possibility. Rain lashed against the windows, and somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled. The storm that had been building all evening was finally breaking. Just like the storm between us. Damien's hand lifted, and for a breathless moment, I thought he would touch me. But he stopped himself, his fingers curling into a fist before dropping back to his side. You're here because I couldn't go another day without being honest with you, he said finally. Not in the office, where everything is filtered through corporate politics and propriety. I needed you here, where it's just us. Where I could tell you the truth. My breath caught. What truth? That I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the day you walked into my office for your interview. His confession hit me like a physical force. You were nervous but brilliant, passionate but professional. You challenged me in that meeting, disagreed with one of my assumptions about market trends. Do you remember? I did. I'd been terrified I'd blown the interview by contradicting the CEO. You proved me wrong, he continued, a slight smile touching his lips. And you were right. I hired you on the spot because I knew you were special. But Sophia, working with you these past 2 years has been the sweetest torture I've ever experienced. Torture? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Seeing you every day, watching you grow more confident and capable, having you in my office for late-night strategy sessions where all I could think about was how badly I wanted to pull you into my arms. He dragged a hand through his hair. Yes. Torture. I should have stepped back. Should have reminded him that I worked for him, that this was inappropriate, that we were crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed. Instead, I asked, "Why are you telling me this now?" Because the Meridian deal is almost done. After Monday's board meeting, your official role in it will be complete. And because I saw the way you looked at me at the company gala last month. On that balcony, when it was just us and the moonlight. His eyes burned into mine. Tell me I imagined it, Sophia. Tell me I'm wrong about what I saw in your eyes, and I'll never mention this again. We'll go back to being CEO and employee, and I'll lock away everything I feel for you. My mouth had gone dry. I took a sip of wine, needing the moment to gather my thoughts. Everything was happening so fast, spinning out of control. But wasn't this what I'd secretly wanted? All those late nights when his hand would brush mine as we reviewed documents. All those meetings where his attention felt like a physical touch. All those moments when I'd catch him watching me with an intensity that made my skin flush and my pulse race. You're not wrong, I heard myself say. His sharp intake of breath was audible even over the jazz and the rain. Say that again. You're not wrong, Damien. My voice was stronger now, even as my heart threatened to beat out of my chest. I feel it too. Every time you're near me, every time you say my name, every time we're alone together. I feel it. He closed the distance between us in one step. Now there were only inches separating us, and the heat radiating from his body made me dizzy. Do you understand what you're saying? His voice was low, rough. If we cross this line, everything changes. I'm your boss, Sophia. There are consequences. I know. Your career, your reputation. I know. I set my wine glass down on a nearby table with a hand that trembled slightly. Trust me, I've thought about nothing else. I've listed every reason why this is a terrible idea. Why I should stay far away from you. Why I should keep things strictly professional. And none of it matters when you look at me like that. The last thread of his control snapped. I saw it in his eyes a second before his hand cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone with devastating tenderness. Sophia. My name was a prayer and a curse. If I kiss you right now, I won't want to stop. Tell me no. Tell me to back away. Tell me this is a mistake. I should have. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to protect myself, my career, my heart. But when I looked into his eyes and saw the raw hunger mixed with genuine emotion, rationality didn't stand a chance. Don't back away, I whispered. Don't stop. He made a sound low in his throat, half groan, half surrender, and then his mouth was on mine. The kiss was everything I'd imagined and nothing I could have prepared for. His lips were firm but gentle at first, giving me a chance to pull away even as his hand slid into my hair. But I didn't pull away. I pressed closer, my hands finding his chest, feeling his heart pounding as hard as mine. The gentleness lasted only seconds before the kiss deepened, months of denied desire exploding between us. His other arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me flush against him as his tongue traced my lower lip. I opened for him, and the taste of him, wine and want and something uniquely Damien, made me moan softly into his mouth. That sound seemed to drive him wild. He walked me backward until my back hit the cool glass of the window, the city lights and rain creating a glittering backdrop to the most intense kiss of my life. His body pressed into mine, and I could feel every hard plane of muscle, every rapid breath, every sign that he wanted me as desperately as I wanted him. My fingers found the buttons of his shirt, fumbling with them until I could slide my hands against the bare skin of his chest. He was all heat and muscle and power, and touching him was addictive. He broke the kiss to trail his lips along my jaw to my ear. God, Sophia. Do you know how many times I've imagined this? How many nights I've lain awake thinking about kissing you, touching you, hearing you say my name? Tell me, I breathed, my head falling back as his mouth found the sensitive spot where my neck met my shoulder. Every night. He punctuated the words with kisses. Every single night since you walked into my life. I've wanted you so badly it's been driving me insane. His hands slid down my sides, skimming my curves through the burgundy dress, and I arched into his touch. This was insane. Reckless. Everything I shouldn't be doing. And I didn't care. Damien, I gasped as his teeth grazed my collarbone. We shouldn't. I know. But he didn't stop. His hands found my hips, pulling me harder against him, and there was no mistaking his desire. Tell me to stop, Sophia. Tell me, and I will. I should have. I should have pushed him away, grabbed my coat, and run for that elevator before I did something I couldn't take back. But when his dark eyes met mine, filled with hunger and heat and something that looked almost like desperation, I couldn't form the words. I don't want you to stop, I admitted. I want. Thunder crashed outside, loud enough to make me jump. The lights flickered once, twice, then went completely dark. We froze, our heavy breathing the only sound beyond the rain and thunder. Power outage, Damien muttered, though he didn't release me. The storm must have knocked something out. As my eyes adjusted, I realized it wasn't completely dark. The city lights still glowed through the windows, casting everything in a soft, romantic dimness. Emergency lighting kicked on somewhere, providing just enough illumination to see by. Does this happen often? I asked, my voice shakier than I would have liked. Never. He stepped back slightly, and I immediately missed his warmth. This building has backup generators. They should have kicked in by now. As if on cue, his phone buzzed. He pulled it from his pocket, frowning at the screen. It's building management. The storm is worse than they predicted, multiple power failures across the city. The backup generators are being routed to emergency systems only until the main power is restored. He looked up at me. Elevators are down. My stomach sank. What does that mean? It means you're not going anywhere tonight. Chapter 4. The reality of the situation settled over us like a physical weight. Trapped. We were trapped together in his penthouse, with no escape until the power was restored. Just the two of us, the storm, and all this dangerous desire crackling between us. How long? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Damien checked his phone again. They're estimating several hours at minimum. Maybe longer depending on when the storm passes. He looked at me, and even in the dim light, I could see the heat still burning in his eyes. I'm sorry, Sophia. If I'd known. It's not your fault. It's just a storm. But we both knew it was so much more than that. He moved away from me, putting distance between us that felt both necessary and painful. When he spoke again, his voice was carefully controlled. I should be a gentleman about this. Offer you the guest room, keep my distance, respect the professional boundaries we've already destroyed. Should be? But I don't want to be a gentleman, Sophia. Not tonight. Not with you. He turned back to me, and the raw honesty in his expression stole my breath. However, I need you to understand something. What happens tonight, or doesn't happen, is entirely your choice. No pressure, no expectations. You have all the power here. The irony of the billionaire CEO telling me I had the power wasn't lost on me, but I could see he meant it. Despite the desire clearly written across his face, despite the way his hands clenched at his sides as if physically restraining himself, he would respect whatever decision I made. That realization made me want him even more. What if I don't want to sleep in the guest room? The words left my mouth before I could second-guess them. His eyes darkened. Sophia. We're already over the line, Damien. We crossed it the moment you told me how you felt. The moment I admitted I felt the same. I moved toward him, drawn by a force I couldn't resist. And now we're trapped here together, and I don't want to spend the night wondering what could have happened. What it would feel like to. I stopped, suddenly shy despite my boldness. He closed the distance between us in 2 strides, his hands framing my face with devastating gentleness. To what? Tell me what you want, Sophia. I need to hear you say it. To be yours, I whispered. Just for tonight. No regrets, no holding back. I want to know what it's like to have all of you. The groan that escaped him was pure male satisfaction. You're going to destroy me, aren't you? I hope so. He kissed me again, but this time it was different. Slower. Deeper. A promise of everything to come. His hands slid down to my waist, then lower, cupping my hips and pulling me against him. Last chance, he murmured against my lips. Tell me no, and we'll play cards or watch a movie or pretend this is just an innocent evening trapped by a storm. I answered by sliding my hands up his chest and around his neck, pulling him down to me. I don't want innocent, Damien. I want you. Something broke loose in him then, the last of his restraint shattering like glass. He lifted me in one smooth motion, my legs wrapping around his waist instinctively as he carried me through the penthouse. I caught glimpses of hallways and artwork as we moved, but all my focus was on him, the strength in his arms, the heat of his body, the way his mouth never left mine. He pushed through a door into what had to be his bedroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows here too, offering a view of the storm raging over Manhattan. The city was a blur of lights through the rain, beautiful and wild. He set me down beside the massive bed, and for a moment, we just looked at each other. My hair was mussed from his hands, my lips swollen from his kisses. His shirt was half unbuttoned, revealing tantalizing glimpses of his chest. We were both breathing hard, both clearly wanting this, but the weight of what we were about to do hung in the air. No regrets, he asked quietly. No regrets, I confirmed. His hands found the zipper at the back of my dress, sliding it down with agonizing slowness. Then let me show you exactly how long I've been wanting you, Sophia Martinez. The dress pooled at my feet, leaving me in nothing but black lace and heels. His eyes traveled over me like a physical touch, and I'd never felt more beautiful or desired in my entire life. Perfect, he breathed. You're absolutely perfect. I reached for his shirt, finishing what I'd started earlier, pushing it off his shoulders to reveal the body I'd only imagined. He was magnificent, all lean muscle and golden skin, a light dusting of dark hair across his chest that I desperately wanted to touch. So I did. He sucked in a breath as my hands explored his chest, his abs, the line of muscle that disappeared beneath his belt. Sophia. My turn to explore, I murmured, growing bolder. You've thought about this for 2 years? So have I. Every time you walked past my desk, every time we worked late and I caught you watching me. I've imagined this. What else have you imagined? His voice was strained, his control hanging by a thread. I stepped closer, rising on my toes to whisper in his ear. Everything. Chapter 5. The storm raged outside as Damien pulled me to him, his kiss consuming and claiming. There was no more hesitation, no more restraint, just raw need and desire that had been building between us for 2 years. His hands traced patterns on my skin, exploring every curve as if memorizing me by touch. When his fingers found the clasp of my bra, he paused, looking into my eyes one more time. Still sure? Stop asking me that and touch me, I breathed. His laugh was low and sinful. Oh, I plan to touch you, Sophia. I plan to touch you everywhere. To learn every inch of you, find every spot that makes you gasp, discover exactly what you like. He suited actions to words, and suddenly thought became impossible. There was only sensation, his mouth on my skin, his hands driving me wild, the delicious weight of him as he lowered me onto the bed. You're so beautiful, he murmured, his lips trailing fire down my neck, across my collarbone, lower. So incredibly beautiful. I arched into him, my fingers tangling in his dark hair. Damien. Tell me what you want. You. All of you. He lifted his head, and the intensity in his eyes made my heart stutter. You have me, Sophia. You've had me since the moment I met you. I've just been waiting for you to claim me. Then his mouth was on mine again, and words became unnecessary. We communicated in touches and gasps, in the way our bodies moved together, in the breathless sounds we drew from each other. When he finally rose to remove the rest of his clothes, I took the opportunity to really look at him. He was perfect, powerful and masculine and mine, at least for tonight. Having second thoughts, he asked, catching my stare. Just thinking that you're even more gorgeous than I imagined. I could say the same about you. He returned to the bed, his body covering mine, and the skin-to-skin contact was almost overwhelming. I'm going to make this so good for you, Sophia. I promise. And he did. Chapter 6. I woke slowly, awareness returning in fragments. Soft sheets. Warm body beside me. The steady rhythm of rain against glass. The skyline of Manhattan glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. Damien's penthouse. Everything came flooding back, the summons, the kiss, the way he'd made me feel things I'd never felt before. The way we'd come together again and again through the night, unable to get enough of each other. I turned my head to find Damien watching me, propped up on one elbow. His dark hair was thoroughly mussed, his jaw shadowed with stubble, and he looked absolutely devastating in the morning light. Hi, I whispered. Hi yourself. His voice was rough with sleep, and the sound of it made my toes curl. How are you feeling? I did a quick internal inventory. Sore in the best way, exhausted but energized, and completely uncertain about what happened next. Like I just spent the night with my boss, I admitted. His expression grew serious. Regrets? No. You? I held my breath. Not even close. He reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, his touch gentle. But we need to talk about what this means. Reality crashed back in. What had seemed inevitable and right in the heat of the moment now felt complicated and fraught with consequences. He was still my boss. I was still a junior executive in his company. And we'd just crossed every professional line that existed. I know, I said quietly. Damien, I know last night was just. He pressed a finger to my lips, cutting off my stumbling words. Don't diminish what happened between us. This wasn't just anything, Sophia. Not for me. My heart jumped. What are you saying? Instead of answering immediately, he sat up against the headboard, pulling me with him. The sheet fell to our waists, but neither of us moved to cover up. We were past that kind of modesty now. I want to be honest with you, he began, his hand finding mine and intertwining our fingers. Last night wasn't just about desire, though God knows I've desired you since the day we met. And it wasn't just about being trapped together by a storm, though fate certainly played a role. Then what was it about? His dark eyes met mine. It was about me finally being brave enough to go after what I want. And what I want, Sophia, is you. Not just for one night. Not just until the excitement wears off. I want you in my life, in my bed, by my side. The words were everything I'd secretly dreamed of hearing, but reality was more complicated than fantasy. You're my boss, I said carefully. There are rules. Rules can be changed. There are procedures for office relationships, disclosure forms, ethical arrangements we can put in place. He squeezed my hand. I've already thought this through. Long before last night, I've been considering every angle. You have? Did you really think I invited you here without having a plan? A slight smile touched his lips. I'm a strategist, Sophia. I don't make moves without calculating all possible outcomes. I pulled my hand away, sudden anger flaring. So this was calculated? You engineered this whole thing? No, yes, he dragged a hand through his hair in frustration. Let me explain. Please do. I wrapped the sheet around myself, kneading the barrier between us. He took a breath, clearly choosing his words carefully. I didn't engineer the storm or the power outage, those were just luck, good or bad depending on how you look at it. But did I deliberately invite you here, to my private space, away from the office? Yes. Because I knew I couldn't keep pretending I didn't feel what I feel. And I suspected, hoped, you felt the same. So the urgent business about the Meridian files? Real. I did want to thank you personally for your exceptional work. But I also wanted the excuse to get you alone, to see if there was any possibility of more between us. He met my eyes. I'm sorry if that feels manipulative. But Sophia, I've been going crazy trying to maintain professional boundaries when all I wanted was to know if you could ever see me as more than just your boss. Some of my anger faded. When he put it that way, it sounded less like manipulation and more like desperation. And honestly, hadn't I been hoping for exactly this? What if I'd said no? I asked. What if I'd rejected you? Then I would have respected that and we would have continued as we were the CEO and employee, nothing more. I would have locked away my feelings and been professional. He paused. It would have killed me, but I would have done it. And now? Now that I know you feel the same? Now that I've had you in my arms and tasted your lips and learned how you sound when you, he stopped, heat flaring in his eyes at the memory. Now I don't think I can go back to pretending. I don't want to. The storm had passed during the night, leaving the city washed clean and sparkling in the morning sun. A new day, full of possibility and risk. What exactly are you proposing? I asked carefully. A relationship. A real one. We disclose it to HR, follow all the proper protocols. I'll likely need to recuse myself from direct decisions about your career, promotions, raises, that sort of thing. Other executives can handle that to avoid any appearance of favoritism. But Sophia, I want to date you. Openly. Honestly. People will talk. Let them. They'll say I slept my way to the top. His jaw tightened. You earned your position through brilliant work and dedication. Anyone who says otherwise will answer to me. But you're the CEO. You can't just date junior executives without consequences. You're right. Which is why I'm offering you a choice. He shifted to face me fully. Option 1, we pretend last night never happened. We go back to the office Monday as if nothing changed. I bury what I feel, you bury what you feel, and we maintain our professional relationship. Your career stays completely separate from anything personal. My chest ached at the thought. And option 2? Option 2, you let me take you to dinner. And breakfast. And lunch. You let me pick you up from work and walk you home. You let me introduce you to people as my girlfriend, not my employee. We build something real together, consequences be damned. That's crazy. The complications alone? I know. He moved closer, his hand cupping my face. I know it's complicated and messy and potentially disastrous for both our reputations. But Sophia, I've built an empire by taking calculated risks. And you are worth every risk. God, how was I supposed to resist him when he said things like that? What about option 3? I asked softly. He frowned. What's option 3? We take this slowly. We figure out what we are to each other before we make it public. We protect my career while we explore whatever this is between us. I met his eyes. We keep it quiet for now. Just between us. Understanding dawned in his expression. You want to keep it a secret. Not forever. Just until we're sure. Until I've proven myself further, until the Meridian deal is completely closed, until there's no question that I earned my position through merit. I reached for his hand. I'm not ashamed of this, Damien. Of us. But I need to protect myself. Can you understand that? He was quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. Finally, he nodded slowly. I understand. I don't like it, I want to shout from the rooftops that you're mine, but I understand. He pulled me closer, his forehead resting against mine. How long are we talking? After the Meridian deal closes completely. After the integration is successful. Maybe 6 months? 6 months of sneaking around? Of pretending you're just my employee when all I want is to kiss you senseless every time you walk past my desk? He groaned. That's going to be torture. You said working with me has been torture for 2 years. What's 6 more months? The difference is, now I know exactly what I'm missing. His lips brushed mine, feather-light. Now I know how you taste, how you feel, how you sound when you... I kissed him to stop the words that were making heat pool in my belly. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. 6 months, he agreed roughly. But we need rules. Rules? If we're doing this, having a secret relationship, we need boundaries. Clear expectations. His business mind was already working. No obvious favoritism at work. No private meetings behind closed doors unless there's a legitimate business reason. And absolutely no touching in the office. Agreed. But outside the office, you're mine. His possessive tone sent shivers through me. Evenings, weekends, any moment we can steal away, you belong to me. And you belong to me, I countered. His smile was slow and devastating. Always did, Sophia. You just didn't know it yet. Chapter 7. The power came back on around 9 a.m., the sudden lights and hum of systems almost jarring after the intimate darkness. Reality was returning, and with it, all the complications we'd been ignoring. I should go, I said reluctantly, already missing the warmth of his bed. People might notice if I'm wearing the same clothes as yesterday. Stay for breakfast at least. My housekeeper doesn't come on weekends. He kissed my shoulder. Let me feed you before you leave. 20 minutes later, I was showered and dressed in my burgundy dress, watching Damien move around his state-of-the-art kitchen with surprising competence. He'd pulled on jeans and a black t-shirt, and the casual look was somehow even more devastating than his suits. You cook? I asked, perching on a bar stool. I have many hidden talents. He shot me a look that made me blush. Cooking is actually one of the more innocent ones. He made omelets with cheese and vegetables, toast with some kind of fancy jam, and coffee that was better than anything I'd ever tasted. We ate at his kitchen island, the morning sun streaming through the windows, and it felt almost normal. Almost like we were just a couple enjoying breakfast together, not a CEO and his employee navigating a relationship minefield. "What are you thinking about?" Damien asked, catching my contemplative expression. How surreal this is. Yesterday I was a junior executive terrified of a meeting with my boss. Today I trailed off, not quite sure how to finish that sentence. "Today you're the woman I'm falling for," he supplied quietly. My heart stopped. Damien. I know. Too soon, too fast, too much. He reached across the counter to take my hand. But I'm done pretending what I feel is anything less than it is. I'm falling for you, Sophia. Maybe I've been falling since the day we met. And these 6 months of secrecy are going to test every ounce of self-control I possess. We can still change our minds, I said, though the thought made my chest ache. We can go with option 1. Forget this ever happened. Could you do that? Could you forget last night? I thought about his hands on my skin, his voice in my ear, the way he'd made me feel cherished and desired and completely consumed. No, I admitted. I don't think I could. Then we'd do this. 6 months of secrecy. 6 months of stolen moments and hidden glances. And then, Sophia Martinez, I'm going to take you to the finest restaurant in Manhattan and tell everyone who matters that you're mine. The way he said it, with such certainty and possession, should have annoyed my independent streak. Instead, it made me melt. "Deal," I whispered. He came around the counter and pulled me into his arms, his kiss tasting of coffee and promise. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "I'll have a car take you home. Tell the driver to wait and take you wherever else you need to go today. Shopping, salon, wherever." "Damien, I can't." "You can and you will. Consider it a thank you for your Meridian work." His tone left no room for argument. "Besides, I'm going to be useless all day thinking about you. The least you can do is let me make sure you're taken care of." My independent side wanted to argue, but another part of me, the part that was secretly thrilled by his attentiveness, won out. "Fine. But nothing too extravagant." His laugh was rich. "Sophia, you just spent the night with a billionaire. Everything about my life is extravagant. You'd better get used to it." Chapter 8. Monday morning arrived too quickly. I stood in front of my closet, trying to decide what to wear for my first day back at the office as Damien Cross's secret girlfriend. Everything felt too revealing or too conservative, too obvious or too plain. Finally, I settled on a charcoal gray suit with a silk blouse, professional, polished, and completely appropriate for a junior executive. Nothing that would draw attention or raise questions. The subway ride to Cross Tower felt longer than usual, my stomach a knot of nerves and anticipation. How was I supposed to act normal? To pretend nothing had changed when everything had? Maya was waiting at my desk when I arrived, 2 coffees in hand and speculation in her eyes. "So," she said, handing me a cup. "How was your urgent business meeting Friday night?" I focused on my computer, logging in with fingers that trembled slightly. "Fine. We reviewed the Meridian files, discussed strategy for today's board meeting." "All night?" "What?" "No. I was home by." I caught her knowing smirk and realized my mistake. The power went out. I had to wait for it to come back on. And? And nothing. We talked business, the lights came back on, I went home. Maya leaned against my cubicle wall, clearly not buying a word of it. Sophia Martinez, we have been friends for 2 years. I know when you're lying. And right now, you're lying. Maya. You're glowing. Your hair is different, sexier somehow. And you keep touching your lips like you're remembering something. She gasped. Oh my God. He kissed you. Shoo. I glanced around frantically, but the office was still relatively empty. Maya, please. He did. He totally kissed you. She was practically bouncing with excitement. I knew it. I knew there was something between you two. Tell me everything. There's nothing to tell. Liar. I grabbed her arm and pulled her into the small conference room nearby, closing the door behind us. If I tell you something, you have to swear, and I mean swear on everything holy, that you will never repeat it. Not to anyone. Not even your boyfriend. Her eyes went wide. This is serious. It's more than serious. It could cost me my career. Understanding dawned. You slept with him. I didn't answer, but my expression must have given me away. Holy shit, Maya breathed. You actually slept with Damien Cross. Our CEO. The billionaire. Manhattan's most eligible bachelor. She grabbed my shoulders. Was it amazing? Please tell me it was amazing because he looks like he would be amazing. Despite everything, I felt a smile tug at my lips. It was beyond amazing. I knew it. She squealed quietly. So what happens now? Are you dating? Is this a relationship? It's complicated. We're keeping it quiet for now, at least 6 months. Until after the Meridian deal is completely closed and there's no question about my work standing on its own merit. Maya's expression sobered. That's smart. People will talk if they find out. I know. Which is why you absolutely cannot tell anyone. Promise me, Maya. I promise. Your secret is safe with me. She hugged me quickly. But Sophia, be careful. Office romances are tricky enough, but with the CEO? The power dynamic alone. I know. Trust me, I've thought about all of it. But Maya, when I'm with him, it's like nothing else matters. He makes me feel like you're the only woman in the world? Exactly. She smiled softly. Then I'm happy for you. Terrified, but happy. Just protect your heart, okay? Billionaires don't exactly have the best track record with relationships. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text. Damien, board meeting in 20 minutes. You ready to dazzle them with your brilliance? My heart fluttered stupidly at seeing his name on my screen. Me, as ready as I'll ever be. Damien, you're going to be phenomenal. I already know it. Damien, also, you look beautiful today. That suit is doing dangerous things to my concentration. Me, you can see me? Damien, I've been watching you since you walked in. Trying to figure out how I'm going to survive 6 months of not touching you. Me, the same way you survived the last 2 years? Damien, not even close. Now I know exactly what I'm missing. It's infinitely worse. I bit my lip to hide my smile, very aware of Maya watching me with knowing eyes. That's him, isn't it? She asked. Board meeting in 20 minutes. I should prepare. You prepare. I'll just be here shipping you two like the romance novel this has become. Chapter 9. The board meeting was held in the largest conference room on the 65th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of Manhattan that never failed to intimidate me, and the massive table could seat 30 people comfortably. Today, it was full. I took my seat near the middle, spreading out my presentation materials with hands that were steadier than I expected. I'd been preparing for this for months. I knew this acquisition inside and out. I could do this. Damien entered last, commanding attention simply by walking into the room. He wore a navy suit that probably cost more than my car, and his presence was magnetic. Every eye turned to him, including mine. For just a moment, our gazes locked. His expression was perfectly professional, but I saw the heat underneath. The memory of Friday night flickered between us like a living thing. Then he smiled, that cool, CEO smile that gave nothing away, and took his seat at the head of the table. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here," he began, his voice filling the room with natural authority. "As you know, we're here to discuss the Meridian acquisition, a deal that will transform cross-industries and position us as the dominant force in our sector for the next decade." He gestured to me. "Sophia Martinez has been leading the analysis on this acquisition, and her work has been exceptional. Sophia, the floor is yours." All eyes turned to me. I stood, refusing to let my nerves show, and launched into my presentation. For the next 45 minutes, I walked them through every aspect of the deal. The financial models showing projected returns. The market analysis proving Meridian's strategic value. The integration plan that would maximize synergies while minimizing disruption. The risk assessment and mitigation strategies. I knew this material better than I knew my own name. I fielded questions with confidence, backed up every claim with data, and watched as even the most skeptical board members began to nod in agreement. "The numbers are solid," one of the older board members said, reviewing my projections. "This is excellent work, Ms. Martinez." "I agree," another chimed in. "This level of analysis is exactly what we need to move forward confidently." Damien listened to it all, his expression neutral but his eyes sharp. When the questions died down, he stood. "I think we've heard enough to make a decision. The question before us is simple: do we move forward with the Meridian acquisition?" He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. "I recommend we do. Ms. Martinez's analysis is thorough and compelling. The strategic value is clear. And the timing is perfect. If we don't move now, our competitors will." "I motion to approve," one board member said. "Second," said another. The vote was unanimous. We were moving forward with the biggest acquisition in cross-industries history, and my work had made it possible. As the board members filed out, several stopped to congratulate me. To thank me for my excellent work. To tell me I had a bright future with the company. I floated on their praise, professional pride mixing with relief that it had gone so well. Finally, the room emptied until only Damien and I remained. He closed the door. "That was incredible," he said, moving toward me. "You were incredible." "Thank you." I was terrified. "You didn't show it. You commanded that room like you owned it." Pride shone in his eyes. "Do you understand what you just did? You convinced some of the toughest business minds in the country to bet billions on your analysis. That's not luck, Sophia. That's brilliance." His words warmed me from the inside out. "I couldn't have done it without your support." "No. You did this on your own merit. I just gave you the opportunity." He stopped a few feet away, close enough that I could smell his cologne but far enough to maintain propriety. "I want to kiss you so badly right now." "Damien, we're in the office." "I know. 6 months, remember? I'm just stating a fact." His voice dropped lower. "I want to kiss you. I want to pull you into my arms and show you exactly how proud I am. I want to." "Stop," I whispered, heat flooding through me. You're not making this easier. Good. You shouldn't be the only one suffering. A knock on the door made us both jump. Damien stepped back just as his assistant, Jennifer, poked her head in. Mr. Cross? Your 10:30 is here. Thank you, Jennifer. I'll be right there. When she left, he turned back to me. Dinner tonight? I don't think that's my place. 7 o'clock. I'll cook. He moved to the door, then paused. And Sophia? We're something comfortable. We're not going anywhere. He left before I could argue, and I stood alone in the conference room, my heart racing and my body remembering exactly what had happened the last time I'd gone to his penthouse at 7 p.m. This was going to be the longest 6 months of my life. Chapter 10. I almost texted him to cancel 3 times that afternoon. This was crazy. We'd agreed to keep things quiet, to be discreet. Having dinner at his penthouse again, where we both knew exactly how the evening would end, felt like the opposite of discreet. But at 6:45, I found myself in an Uber heading to Cross Tower, wearing jeans and a soft cashmere sweater like he'd requested. Casual. Comfortable. The kind of outfit you wore for a date, not a business meeting. The security guard recognized me this time, waving me toward the private elevator with a knowing smile that made my cheeks burn. Did he know? Had he guessed? The elevator ride to the penthouse felt different than it had Friday night. Less nerve-wracking, more anticipatory. I knew what waited for me at the top. Or I thought I did. The doors opened to reveal Damien in the kitchen, wearing jeans and a gray Henley that hugged his chest in ways that should be illegal. Jazz played softly, and something smelled absolutely incredible. He looked up when I entered, and his smile was genuine and warm. You came. You doubted I would? I thought you might panic and cancel. He moved around the counter toward me. I'm glad you didn't. When he reached me, he didn't hesitate. His hands framed my face, and he kissed me like he'd been thinking about nothing else all day. Slow and deep and thorough. Missed you, he murmured against my lips. We were in meetings together all afternoon. Exactly. Watching you be brilliant and professional and completely untouchable was torture. He kissed me again. Now you're here, and I can finally do this. What about dinner? Needs another 20 minutes. His hand slid down to my waist. What should we do with 20 minutes? The look in his eyes made it clear what he wanted to do, and my body responded instantly. But some rational part of my brain managed to surface. Talk, I said firmly, stepping back. We should talk. He groaned. You're going to kill me with this restraint thing. 6 months, remember? We need to establish boundaries, figure out how this is going to work. Fine. He released me reluctantly and moved back to the kitchen. Talk while I cook. Wine. Please. He poured us both a glass, then returned to whatever he was making, something involving chicken and vegetables that smelled amazing. I perched on a bar stool and watched him work, comfortable in a way I never expected to be in a billionaire's penthouse. So, he said, drizzling olive oil into a pan. Ground rules. You wanted to talk about them? Yes. Starting with, when can we see each other? Obviously, we can't be obvious about it. Evenings are fine. I often work late, and no one tracks when I leave the building. You can come here, I can come to you, though fair warning, my place is more secure and private. What about weekends? Also fine. I'll have my driver pick you up a few blocks from your apartment, drop you off the same way. No one will connect us. He glanced at me. Unless you want to meet in public? We could go to restaurants outside the city, places where we're less likely to run into anyone from work. I'd like that. I don't want to feel like we're hiding in shame. We're not hiding in shame, he said firmly. We're being strategic. Protecting your career and your reputation until the timing is right. Speaking of work, we need rules there too. Already established. No closed-door meetings alone unless there's legitimate business. No favoritism. No touching. What about company events? The holiday party is coming up. He frowned, clearly not having thought about that. We'll have to play it carefully. I'll need to interact with everyone equally, not single you out. That's going to be hard for you, isn't it? I teased. Not being able to claim me in front of everyone? You have no idea. He turned off the burner and moved around the counter to me. Sophia, I need you to understand something. These 6 months are going to test me in ways even building my company didn't. Seeing you every day, working with you, and not being able to touch you, kiss you, let everyone know you're mine, it's going to be agony. Then why agree to it? Because you're worth it. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Because protecting your career and your reputation matters. Because I want to do this right, even if it's the hard way. My heart swelled. You're making it very difficult not to fall for you. Good. That's my plan. He kissed me softly. Fall for me, Sophia. Fall as hard and as fast as I'm falling for you. And in 6 months, when we can finally be open about this, I want you so completely head over heels that there's no question we're in this together. That's assuming we last 6 months. We will. His confidence was absolute. Because this thing between us? It's not going away. I've never felt this way about anyone, and I don't think you have either. He was right. As terrifying as it was to admit, I was already falling. Maybe I had been since the day we met, and I'd just been too scared to acknowledge it. Dinner's ready, he said, breaking the moment. I hope you like chicken piccata. You made chicken piccata? I told you, I have many hidden talents. Cooking is actually therapeutic for me. When I'm stressed, I cook. Have you been stressed lately? I asked innocently. His laugh was rueful. You have no idea. Every night since Friday, I've been in this kitchen, cooking elaborate meals just to keep my hands busy so I wouldn't text you 100 times. The image of Damien Cross, billionaire CEO, stress cooking in his penthouse because he missed me was so absurdly endearing that I couldn't help but smile. He plated the food with a presentation that would have impressed a 5-star restaurant, and we sat at his dining table with the city glittering below us. This is delicious, I said after the first bite. My mother's recipe. She insisted all her children learn to cook, said it was a life skill that transcended gender and wealth. His expression softened with memory. She'd like you. The casual mention of his mother, the implied future where I might meet her, made my breath catch. Would she approve? Of us? Of you? Absolutely. You're brilliant, driven, and you make her son smile in a way he hasn't in years. He reached across the table to take my hand. Of the secret relationship with my employee? She'd probably have some choice words about that. But she'd understand why we're doing it this way. Are you close with your family? Very. I have 2 sisters and a brother. My parents still live in the house where I grew up. They refused to move even after I made my first million. Said home was about memories, not square footage. He smiled. I see them most Sundays for dinner. It's the one commitment I never break. The glimpse into his life outside the office fascinated me. What was it like? Growing up? Middle class, Brooklyn neighborhood, parents who worked hard and expected us to do the same. My father was a high school teacher, my mother a nurse. They're probably the most grounded people you'll ever meet. He paused. They're also the reason I never forget where I came from. Success and money are great, but they don't define you. Character does. Integrity does. How you treat people does. Is that why you're always so kind to everyone at the office? I've noticed you learn everyone's names, ask about their families, treat the mailroom staff with the same respect as the board members. My mother would disown me if I didn't. But also, it's just right. Everyone contributes to the company's success. Everyone deserves respect. I'd always admired that about him, but hearing the reason behind it made me respect him even more. We talked through dinner about everything and nothing, his childhood in Brooklyn, my own upbringing in Texas, our dreams and fears and the paths that had led us to where we were now. The conversation flowed as easily as the wine, and I realized this was what I'd been craving. Not just the physical connection, but this genuine intimacy. Getting to know him as a person, not just as my boss or a billionaire, but as Damien. What made you take the risk? I asked as we moved to the sofa with fresh glasses of wine. Starting your own company right out of college when everyone else was taking safe corporate jobs? Stupidity, he said with a laugh. Or confidence, depending on how generous you're feeling. I had an idea for software that would revolutionize supply chain management, but every company I pitched said I was too young, too inexperienced. So I built it myself, maxed out credit cards, lived on ramen for a year, and somehow convinced investors to believe in me. And now Cross Industries is worth billions. Now it's worth billions, he agreed. But success came with a price. 70-hour work weeks for years. Missed birthdays and holidays. Relationships that failed because I was married to my company. He looked at me. Until you walked into my office 2 years ago, I'd convinced myself that work was enough. That I didn't need anything else. What changed? You challenged me in that interview, remember? Said my market analysis was flawed. Most candidates would have agreed with everything I said, tried to impress me. But you had the confidence and courage to disagree, respectfully, with data to back you up, and I realized I'd been surrounding myself with yes men. I needed people who would push back, make me better. So you hired me to be argumentative? I hired you because you were brilliant. The argumentative part was just a bonus. He pulled me closer. But Sophia, you did more than make me a better CEO. You reminded me that there's more to life than work. That connection and passion and feeling something for another person, those things matter too. His words wrapped around my heart. I'm glad I took the job. So am I. Best decision I ever made, hiring you. His lips found mine. Second best decision was finally telling you how I feel. What's the third best decision? This. He deepened the kiss, and rational thought dissolved. His hands tangled in my hair, and I melted against him, all the restraint from the office finally breaking free. Sophia, he groaned against my lips. Tell me to stop. Why would I do that? Because if I don't stop now, I'm going to carry you into that bedroom and spend the rest of the night making love to you. I don't see the problem. He pulled back to look at me, his eyes dark with desire. The problem is I'm supposed to be a gentleman. Give you space to think, not pressure you. I pushed him back against the sofa and straddled his lap, enjoying the sharp intake of his breath. Damien Cross, I don't want space. I don't want to think. I want you. Now stop being such a gentleman and take me to bed. His control snapped. Yes, ma'am. Chapter 11. The next 6 weeks passed in a blur of stolen moments and secret meetings. We were careful, so careful. At work, we maintained perfect professionalism. No lingering glances, no accidental touches, no indication that we were anything more than CEO and employee. But outside the office, we were insatiable. Dinners at his penthouse became our routine 3 or 4 nights a week. He cooked for me, and we talked for hours before inevitably ending up in his bed. On weekends, his driver would pick me up, and we'd explore restaurants in Connecticut or upstate New York, anywhere far enough from Manhattan that we wouldn't run into colleagues. He took me to a cooking class in Brooklyn where we laughed and fed each other samples. To a private box at the opera where he whispered explanations in my ear and held my hand in the darkness. To a little bed and breakfast in the Berkshires where we spent an entire weekend barely leaving the room. Every moment together felt stolen and precious, and I was falling harder than I'd ever thought possible. But keeping the secret was harder than I'd anticipated. Maya knew, of course, but she was trustworthy. The problem was everyone else. Coworkers who asked why I was smiling so much. Friends who wanted to know if I was seeing someone. My mother who called and immediately knew something was different. "You sound happy," she'd said during our last phone call. "Really happy. Is there a man?" "Maybe," I'd hedged. "Tell me about him." "It's complicated, Mom." "I will, just not yet." And then there was the close call at the holiday party. The annual Cross Industries Gala was held at one of Manhattan's most exclusive hotels. Everyone who was anyone in the company attended, dressed in their finest, ready to celebrate another successful year. I wore a midnight blue gown that Damien had secretly delivered to my apartment over my protests about accepting gifts. The note that came with it simply said, "I want to see you in this. Even if I can't tell you how beautiful you look." The party was in full swing when I arrived. Music, champagne, hundreds of people laughing and mingling. I spotted Damien across the room, surrounded by board members and investors, and my heart did its usual flip. He looked devastating in a tuxedo, every inch the powerful CEO. But when our eyes met across the crowded room, I saw the heat in his gaze, the barely restrained desire. Then he deliberately looked away, turning his attention back to his conversation. It hurt, even though I understood why. This was what we'd agreed to, public distance to protect our secret. "That dress is stunning," Maya said, appearing at my elbow with 2 champagne flutes. "Let me guess, a gift from a certain billionaire?" "Shoo," I hissed, accepting the champagne. "Relax. No one can hear us." "But seriously, Sophia, you two need to be more careful. The way you look at each other? It's obvious to anyone paying attention. We don't look at each other. You literally just eye-fucked across the entire ballroom." "Maya. I'm just saying. Eventually, someone's going to notice." She sipped her champagne. "How much longer until you can go public?" 4.5 months. The Meridian integration is going well. Once it's complete. Ms. Martinez. I turned to find Richard Hamilton, one of the board members who'd been in the acquisition meeting, approaching with a warm smile. "Mr. Hamilton, lovely to see you." "You as well. I wanted to tell you again how impressed I was with your analysis of the Meridian deal. The integration is proceeding exactly as you predicted. Brilliant work. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Damien speaks very highly of you, you know. Says you're one of the brightest minds in the company." He leaned in slightly. "Between you and me, I wouldn't be surprised if you're running your own division within a few years. You have real executive potential." Pride warmed me from the inside. "I appreciate your confidence." After he left, Maya nudged me. "See? You're building your career on your own merit. No one thinks you're getting ahead because of other reasons. Not yet. But if they found out, they won't. You two are being careful." But later that night, our careful facade almost cracked. I was standing on one of the balconies, taking a break from the crowded ballroom, when Damien appeared beside me. "You shouldn't be out here," I said quietly, not looking at him. "I couldn't help it." "You in that dress, do you have any idea what you're doing to me?" "Damien. I know. We can't. But Sophia, watching you all night, seeing other men look at you, wanting to pull you onto the dance floor and hold you in my arms." His voice was rough with frustration. "This is torture. Only 4 more months. 4 months too long." He moved closer, still not touching but close enough that I could feel his heat. "Come home with me tonight. Let me show you exactly what I've been thinking about all evening. Someone could see us leave together. We'll leave separately. You first, then me 20 minutes later. My driver will be waiting for you around the corner. This is risky. I don't care. I need you, Sophia. Please." The raw need in his voice broke my resolve. 20 minutes? 20 minutes, he confirmed. Then, so softly I almost didn't hear it, "God, you're beautiful tonight. That dress, you're absolutely devastating." He walked away before I could respond, disappearing back into the party, leaving me breathless and aching. I waited exactly 20 minutes, said my goodbyes to Maya and a few other colleagues, and slipped out into the cold December night. Damien's driver was indeed waiting around the corner, and he whisked me to Cross Tower without comment. Damien was already there when I arrived, pacing his living room like a caged animal. The moment the elevator doors opened, he was on me. Finally, he breathed against my lips. "Do you know how hard it was watching you all night and not being able to touch you?" "Show me," I challenged. He did. Chapter 12. Everything fell apart on a Tuesday in January. I was in my cubicle, reviewing integration reports, when Maya appeared with an expression I'd never seen before, fear mixed with pity. "Sophia," she said quietly. "We need to talk. Conference room. Now." My stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" "Just come with me." The small conference room was empty. Maya closed the door and pulled up something on her phone. This was posted on Corporate Whispers an hour ago. Corporate Whispers was a gossip blog that covered Manhattan's business scene, usually harmless rumors about mergers and executive drama. But the headline Maya showed me made my blood run cold. "Cross Industries CEO in secret relationship with junior employee?" Below was a photo, slightly blurry but unmistakable. Damien and me leaving his building at different times, but the timestamp showed we'd left within 10 minutes of each other. Another photo showed his car picking me up several blocks from my apartment. My hands shook as I read the article. Sources close to Cross Industries report that CEO Damien Cross may be involved in a secret relationship with a junior executive. While neither party has confirmed the relationship, evidence suggests frequent late-night meetings and coordinated arrivals and departures. The identity of the employee has not been confirmed, but insiders speculate it may be someone on the recently successful Meridian acquisition team. "Oh God," I whispered. "It gets worse," Maya said gently. HR called an emergency meeting. They're investigating. What? They can't, we haven't done anything wrong. Sophia, you're in a relationship with the CEO and you didn't disclose it. That's against company policy. Even if the relationship itself isn't against the rules. The failure to disclose it is. The room spun. Everything we'd built, everything we'd been so careful about, was crumbling around me. I need to talk to Damien. You can't. That'll just make it worse. Look, right now they're investigating, which means they don't have confirmation. The photos don't actually show you together, and your name isn't mentioned. Maybe you can. Maya, I'm not going to lie. If they ask me directly, I'm not going to deny it. Then your career here is over, she said bluntly. At minimum, you'll be reassigned. At worst, they'll say you violated the ethics policy and terminate you. And your reputation in the industry. She trailed off, not needing to finish. Everything I'd worked for. Gone. My phone buzzed with a text. Damien, my office. Now. I stood on shaky legs. I have to go. Maya grabbed my arm. Sophia, whatever happens, I've got your back. Okay? I nodded, not trusting myself to speak, and headed for the elevator to the executive floor. Damien's assistant waved me through immediately, her expression carefully neutral. When I entered his office, he was standing by the windows, his back to me, tension radiating from every line of his body. Close the door, he said without turning. I did. You saw the article. The entire company has seen it by now. He turned, and the anguish in his eyes matched my own. Sophia, I'm so sorry. I was so careful. I don't know how they got those photos. Does it matter? They have them. HR is investigating. I know. They've already contacted me. He moved toward me, then stopped himself, aware even now of maintaining distance. I've scheduled a meeting with them and legal this afternoon. I'm going to tell them everything, that we're in a relationship, that it's serious, that I take full responsibility for not disclosing it properly. Damien, this could destroy my career. I won't let that happen. You can't stop it. You're the CEO, you'll be fine. But me? I'm the junior executive who slept with her boss. Do you know what they'll say about me? What it'll do to my professional reputation? Then we fight it. Together. He crossed the distance between us, taking my hands in his. Sophia, I am not going to let you take the fall for this. We're in this together. Are we? The question came out harsher than I intended. Because from where I'm standing, you get to keep your job and your reputation while mine goes up in flames. He flinched like I'd slapped him. You think I wanted this? You think I don't understand what you're risking? I don't know what to think. This was supposed to be a secret for 6 more months. Long enough for me to prove myself, to make it clear I earned my position. But now everyone's going to assume I slept my way to the Meridian project, that every success I've had was because I was warming your bed. Stop. His voice was sharp. Don't do that. Don't diminish everything you've accomplished. Your work speaks for itself. Does it? Or will people always wonder if I got ahead because of who I was sleeping with? Tears burned my eyes. This is exactly what I was afraid of. This is why I wanted to wait. And I agreed. We were careful, Sophia. Someone went out of their way to follow us, to photograph us, to expose us. This isn't our fault. But we're the ones who'll pay for it. Silence fell between us, heavy and painful. Through the windows, Manhattan stretched out below, indifferent to our crisis. What do you want me to do? Damien asked finally, his voice rough. Tell me what you need, and I'll do it. I pulled my hands from his, wrapping my arms around myself. I don't know. I need to think. Sophia. Please. Just give me some space. Let me figure out what to do next. I could see the protest in his eyes, but he nodded. Okay. But we're going to get through this. I promise you, I will not let this destroy what we have or what you've built. I wanted to believe him. But as I left his office and rode the elevator back down to my floor, all I could think about was how quickly everything had fallen apart. Chapter 13. The HR meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. I spent the hours leading up to it in a haze of anxiety and anger. Angry at whoever had leaked our relationship. Angry at myself for not being more careful. Angry at Damien for putting me in this position. Angry at the whole situation. Maya brought me coffee and moral support, but there was little she could actually do. At 3:55, I made my way to the HR floor. Damien was already there, standing in the hallway with his arms crossed, his expression thunderous. "Ready?" he asked quietly when I approached. "No. But let's get this over with." The conference room held 3 people: Linda Chen, the head of HR, Marcus Reynolds, the general counsel, and Patricia Morrison, a stern-looking woman I recognized as the head of the board's ethics committee. This was serious. "Please, sit," Linda said, gesturing to the chairs across from them. Damien held out a chair for me before taking his own seat. Even now, even in the middle of this disaster, he was thinking about me. Linda folded her hands on the table. "I'm sure you both know why we're here." An article appeared on Corporate Whispers this morning suggesting that the two of you are in a relationship. We need to know if these allegations are true. Damien didn't hesitate. They are. Sophia and I have been seeing each other for approximately 6 weeks. Linda made a note. And did either of you disclose this relationship to HR as required by company policy? No, Damien admitted. That was my decision. I should have filed the disclosure immediately, but I wanted to protect Sophia's privacy and her professional reputation. By violating company policy? Patricia Morrison's voice was ice. The policy exists to prevent conflicts of interest and favoritism, Damien said calmly. Neither has occurred. Sophia was selected for the Meridian project based solely on her qualifications and abilities. This was months before our relationship began. And since we started dating, I've recused myself from all decisions regarding her career advancement. Other executives have handled her performance reviews and any discussions about promotions or raises. Marcus Reynolds consulted his notes. That's correct. We've reviewed the timeline. Ms. Martinez was assigned to the Meridian project in September. The relationship began in November, after the board approval meeting. And Mr. Cross has indeed not been involved in any personnel decisions regarding Ms. Martinez since then. That doesn't change the fact that the relationship wasn't disclosed, Patricia said sharply. Company policy is clear. Any romantic relationship between employees, particularly those with a power differential, must be reported immediately. I take full responsibility for that failure, Damien said. This was my decision. Sophia wanted to disclose immediately, but I convinced her to wait until after the Meridian integration was complete. I didn't want any appearance of impropriety to taint her excellent work. That wasn't entirely true, but I appreciated him trying to shield me. Linda turned to me. Ms. Martinez, is that accurate? You wanted to disclose but Mr. Cross asked you not to? I could go along with Damien's version, let him take all the blame. But I'd built my career on integrity, and I wasn't going to start lying now. No, I said clearly. That's not what happened. I was the one who wanted to keep it quiet. I was worried about my professional reputation, about people assuming I'd gotten ahead because of personal relationships rather than merit. Damien wanted to disclose immediately and deal with the consequences. The decision to keep it secret was mine. Damien's head snapped toward me. Sophia. I'm not going to let you take the fall for my choices, I said, meeting his eyes. I knew the policy. I chose to violate it. That's on me. Patricia's expression remained stern. So you both knowingly violated company policy for personal reasons. We did, I confirmed. And I understand there will be consequences. But I want to be clear about something. my work on the Meridian acquisition was completed before our relationship began. Every analysis, every recommendation, every strategic decision I made was based solely on business considerations. My personal feelings for Mr. Cross had nothing to do with my professional judgment. Can you prove that? Marcus asked, not unkindly. All of my work is documented and dated. You can review everything I produced, see that it was completed before mid-November. And you can interview the other team members. They'll confirm that I earned my position on the team, that I contributed substantively, that there was never any indication of favoritism or special treatment. Linda made more notes. We'll certainly conduct that review. But I have to tell you both, this is a serious violation. At minimum, we're looking at formal reprimands. Possibly reassignment to eliminate the reporting relationship. In more severe cases, termination. My stomach dropped, but I kept my expression neutral. If termination is on the table, it should be mine, Damien said firmly. Sophia is a valuable employee with a bright future. I'm the one who failed to enforce policy. I'm the CEO, the responsibility falls on me. You can't be terminated, Patricia said flatly. You own 40% of the company. The board can censure you, but we can't fire you. Then censure me. Fine me. Whatever it takes. But don't punish Sophia for my failures. Mr. Cross, I appreciate your protective instincts, Linda said carefully. But Miss Martinez is an adult who made her own choices. We have to evaluate each of your roles in this violation independently. The meeting continued for another 30 minutes, questions about the timeline, the nature of our relationship, whether it had affected any business decisions. Through it all, Damien kept trying to take responsibility, and I kept refusing to let him. Finally, Linda closed her folder. We'll need time to review all the evidence and consult with the board. We'll have a decision within 48 hours. Until then, both of you are to avoid any appearance of impropriety. That means no closed-door meetings, no personal contact during work hours. Understood, we said in unison. As we left the conference room, Damien caught my arm. What the hell was that? I was trying to protect you. I don't need protecting. I need to own my choices. I pulled away from his touch. I have to go. Sophia, wait. But I was already walking away, needing distance and space to process everything that had just happened. Chapter 14. I didn't go back to my desk. I couldn't face the stares and whispers that I knew were waiting. Instead, I grabbed my coat and left the building, walking aimlessly through Manhattan's cold January streets. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Damien, but I ignored them all. I needed to think. The truth was, I was terrified. Terrified of losing my job, my reputation, everything I'd worked so hard to build. But underneath the fear was something else, anger. Anger that we had to hide our relationship in the first place. Anger that the world still judged women more harshly than men for office romances. Anger that my excellent work would forever be questioned because of who I was sleeping with. But also anger at myself. Because I'd known the risks. I'd known what could happen, and I'd taken the chance anyway. I'd chosen passion over prudence, and now I was paying the price. I ended up at a coffee shop near my apartment, nursing a latte and staring at nothing. Rough day? I looked up to find Maya sliding into the seat across from me. How did you find me? This is your go-to-crisis cafe. Remember when you didn't get the promotion last year? You spent 3 hours here eating muffins and plotting your comeback. She squeezed my hand. Talk to me. How bad is it? I told her everything, the meeting, the investigation, the possible consequences. Okay, she said when I finished. Worst case scenario, they fire you. Then what? Then I'm unemployed with a reputation as the woman who slept with her boss. Good luck getting hired anywhere else. Or, Maya countered, you're the brilliant analyst who led $1 billion acquisition and got screwed over by archaic corporate policies that punish women for having personal lives. That's a generous interpretation. It's the true interpretation. Sophia, your work speaks for itself. The Meridian deal is public record. Everyone in the industry knows you were the lead analyst. That doesn't go away just because some gossip blog exposed your relationship. You're being optimistic. I'm being realistic. Look, yes, this sucks. Yes, there will be people who judge you. But there will also be companies who see your talent and don't care about the corporate whispers drama. She leaned forward. The real question is, was it worth it? What? Damien. The relationship. Was it worth the risk? I thought about the past 6 weeks. The laughter in conversation, the way he looked at me like I was the only woman in the world, the feeling of being truly seen and valued for exactly who I was. Yes, I admitted quietly. Even with all this, yes. He's worth it. Then stop acting like this is the end of the world. It's a setback. A painful, complicated, infuriating setback. But it's not the end. Maya smiled. You're Sophia Martinez. You've overcome bigger obstacles than this. Have I? You paid your own way through business school while working 2 jobs. You moved to New York with nothing but a dream and made it happen. You earned a position at one of the most prestigious companies in Manhattan through sheer brilliance and determination. She squeezed my hand harder. You don't give up, Sophia. It's not who you are. She was right. Wallowing in fear and anger wasn't going to help. I needed to figure out my next move. What do I do? First, you call Damien back. He's texted me 17 times asking if you're okay. I pulled out my phone to find 23 missed messages and 6 calls from him. Guilt pricked at me. I'm fine. At the coffee shop near my apartment. Just needed to think. His response was immediate. Damien, thank God. I was worried. Can I see you? Not at my apartment. Too public now. Damien, then come here. Please, Sophia. We need to talk. I looked at Maya, who nodded encouragingly. Go. Talk to him. Figure out what you two are going to do together. Because like it or not, you're in this together now. Chapter 15. Damien opened the door to his penthouse before I even knocked, pulling me inside and into his arms in one motion. Don't ever do that again, he said roughly, his face buried in my hair. Don't shut me out when things get hard. We're supposed to be in this together. I know. I'm sorry. I just needed time to process. He pulled back to look at me, his hands framing my face. Are you okay? No. But I will be. I stepped out of his embrace, needing the space to think clearly. We need to talk about what happens next. I've already talked to the best employment lawyer in Manhattan. If they try to fire you, we'll sue for wrongful termination. We'll argue that the policy is discriminatory, that. Damien, stop. He fell silent, clearly frustrated. I don't want to sue, I said carefully. I don't want to fight cross industries or drag this out in court. That'll just make everything worse. Then what do you want? I moved to the windows, looking out at the city that had been my home for 2 years. I want to own my choices. I chose to be with you, knowing the risks. And whatever consequences come from that, I'll handle them. So you're just going to accept whatever punishment they hand down? I didn't say that. I turned to face him. But I'm not going to hide behind lawyers or try to argue that I didn't do anything wrong. I violated company policy. I knew what I was doing. And I'd do it again. Something flickered in his eyes. You would? Yes. Because being with you, knowing you, falling for you, that's worth more than any job. The admission hung between us. I'm falling for you, Damien. Maybe I already have fallen. And I'm not going to pretend that was a mistake just to save my career. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling me into a kiss that was desperate and claiming and full of emotion. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. I love you, he said, the words raw and honest. I know it's too soon, I know we're in the middle of a crisis, but I don't care. I love you, Sophia Martinez. I think I've loved you since that interview when you challenged me and made me see things differently. And I will spend every day proving that you made the right choice, trusting me with your heart. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Damien. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. Whatever happens with HR, with your job, with any of this, my feelings aren't going to change. I'm in this for the long haul. I love you too, I whispered. God help me, but I do. His kiss this time was gentler, sweeter, full of promise and hope. When we finally settled on his sofa, wrapped in each other's arms, some of the panic from earlier faded. So what's our plan? He asked, his fingers drawing patterns on my arm. We wait for HR's decision. We accept whatever consequences come with grace and dignity. And then we figure out what's next. What if they fire you? Then I find another job. One where I'm not dating the CEO. I smiled slightly. Or maybe I start my own consulting firm. Use my Meridian experience to advise other companies on acquisitions and integration strategies. You'd be brilliant at that. I'd be terrified. But maybe it's time I took a risk on myself the way you did when you started Cross Industries. He pulled me closer. Whatever you decide, I'm here. If you need seed money for a business, references, connections. I appreciate that. But if I do this, I need to do it on my own. No help from my billionaire boyfriend that people can use to diminish my success. Boyfriend? His smile was genuine. Is that what I am? Well, the secret's out now. Might as well make it official. Sophia Martinez, will you be my girlfriend? Publicly, officially, no more hiding? Yes. On one condition. Name it. When this all blows over, you take me on a real date. Not hidden away in your penthouse or restaurants hours away. A proper date in Manhattan where we don't care who sees us. Deal. I'm taking you to the best restaurant in the city, and I'm going to hold your hand the entire time and not care who notices. We spent the rest of the evening talking through possibilities and plans. What we'd do if I got fired, if I was reassigned, if they decided to let us off with a warning. We talked about his family and when I might meet them, about my own parents and how to tell them about him, about the future we were building together despite the chaos. And later, in his bed, we showed each other without words just how deep our feelings ran. Chapter 16. The call came Wednesday afternoon. Linda Chen's assistant requested that both Damien and I come to the executive floor for a meeting. Together, which felt significant. I dressed carefully that morning, a navy suit that projected confidence and professionalism. Whatever they decided, I would face it with dignity. Maya hugged me before I left my desk. You've got this. And remember, no matter what happens, you're going to be fine. Thanks for everything. For being there, for listening, for being the best friend I could ask for. Always. She squeezed my hand. Now go show them what you're made of. Damien was waiting by the elevators, looking devastating in a charcoal suit. When our eyes met, I saw the same determination I felt. "Ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be." The conference room was set up the same as before, Linda, Marcus, and Patricia on one side of the table. But this time, there was another person there, Catherine Cross, Damien's mother, and a member of the board of directors. My stomach dropped. This was either very good or very bad. "Please, sit," Linda said, her expression carefully neutral. We sat, and I noticed Damien's hand found mine under the table, giving it a squeeze. Linda opened a folder. "We've completed our investigation into the relationship between Mr. Cross and Ms. Martinez. We've reviewed the timeline of the Meridian project, interviewed team members, and examined all relevant documents and communications." She paused, and my heart hammered. "Our findings are as follows. First, Ms. Martinez was selected for the Meridian project based solely on her qualifications and past performance. There is no evidence of favoritism in that decision. Second, Ms. Martinez's work on the project was exemplary and completed before the relationship began. Third, since the relationship started, Mr. Cross has appropriately recused himself from all personnel decisions regarding Ms. Martinez." I dared to hope. "However," Linda continued, "you both violated company policy by failing to disclose the relationship. This is a serious breach that we cannot ignore." "We understand," Damien said. "The board has deliberated extensively on the appropriate consequences." Ms. Morrison advocated for termination of Ms. Martinez's employment. My heart sank. But, Linda's expression softened slightly. Other board members, including Mrs. Cross, argued that Ms. Martinez is a valuable employee whose work speaks for itself, and that the policy violation, while serious, doesn't warrant termination given the circumstances. I glanced at Catherine Cross, who gave me a small, encouraging smile. "Therefore, the board has reached the following decision," Linda said. "Ms. Martinez, you will be reassigned to a new division, effective immediately, eliminating the direct reporting relationship with Mr. Cross. You will also receive a formal reprimand that will be placed in your personnel file. However, this will not affect your salary, benefits, or future advancement opportunities." Relief flooded through me. Not fired. A reprimand I could live with. "Mr. Cross, you will also receive a formal reprimand and a substantial fine, $10 million to be donated to a charity of the board's choosing. Additionally, you are required to undergo ethics training and to establish more robust disclosure policies throughout the company." Damien nodded. "Acceptable." "There's one more condition," Patricia Morrison said, her voice stern. "If this relationship continues, you must both complete quarterly ethics certifications confirming there is no conflict of interest. Any future violations will result in immediate termination for Ms. Martinez and removal from the CEO position for Mr. Cross. Are we clear?" "Crystal clear," Damien said. "Ms. Martinez?" Linda asked. "I understand and agree to the terms." Linda closed the folder. "Then we're done here. Ms. Martinez, you'll start in the Strategic Planning Division on Monday, reporting to Robert Chen. Your new supervisor is expecting you." Strategic planning was actually a promotion in everything but title, more responsibility, higher visibility, and significantly more challenging work. As we stood to leave, Catherine Cross approached me. "Ms. Martinez, might I have a word?" Damien squeezed my hand once before leaving with the others, giving us privacy. Catherine was an elegant woman in her 60s, with the same dark eyes as her son and an aura of quiet strength. "I wanted to introduce myself properly," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Catherine Cross, Damien's mother. And I believe I owe you a thank you." "Mrs. Cross, I'm not sure." Chapter 16. The call came Wednesday afternoon. Linda Chen's assistant requested that both Damien and I come to the executive floor for a meeting together, which felt significant. I dressed carefully that morning, a navy suit that projected confidence and professionalism. Whatever they decided, I would face it with dignity. Maya hugged me before I left my desk. "You've got this. And remember, no matter what happens, you're going to be fine. Thanks for everything. For being there, for listening, for being the best friend I could ask for. Always." She squeezed my hand. "Now go show them what you're made of." Damien was waiting by the elevators, looking devastating in a charcoal suit. When our eyes met, I saw the same determination I felt. "Ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be." The conference room was set up the same as before, Linda, Marcus, and Patricia on one side of the table. But this time, there was another person there, Catherine Cross, Damien's mother, and a member of the board of directors. My stomach dropped. This was either very good or very bad. "Please, sit," Linda said, her expression carefully neutral. We sat, and I noticed Damien's hand found mine under the table, giving it a squeeze. Linda opened a folder. "We've completed our investigation into the relationship between Mr. Cross and Ms. Martinez. We've reviewed the timeline of the Meridian project, interviewed team members, and examined all relevant documents and communications." She paused, and my heart hammered. "Our findings are as follows. First, Ms. Martinez was selected for the Meridian project based solely on her qualifications and past performance. There is no evidence of favoritism in that decision. Second, Ms. Martinez's work on the project was exemplary and completed before the relationship began. Third, since the relationship started, Mr. Cross has appropriately recused himself from all personnel decisions regarding Ms. Martinez." I dared to hope. "However," Linda continued, "you both violated company policy by failing to disclose the relationship. This is a serious breach that we cannot ignore." "We understand," Damien said. "The board has deliberated extensively on the appropriate consequences." Ms. Morrison advocated for termination of Ms. Martinez's employment. My heart sank. But, Linda's expression softened slightly. Other board members, including Mrs. Cross, argued that Ms. Martinez is a valuable employee whose work speaks for itself, and that the policy violation, while serious, doesn't warrant termination given the circumstances. I glanced at Catherine Cross, who gave me a small, encouraging smile. "Therefore, the board has reached the following decision," Linda said. "Ms. Martinez, you will be reassigned to a new division, effective immediately, eliminating the direct reporting relationship with Mr. Cross. You will also receive a formal reprimand that will be placed in your personnel file. However, this will not affect your salary, benefits, or future advancement opportunities." Relief flooded through me. Not fired. A reprimand I could live with. "Mr. Cross, you will also receive a formal reprimand and a substantial fine, $10 million to be donated to a charity of the board's choosing. Additionally, you are required to undergo ethics training and to establish more robust disclosure policies throughout the company." Damien nodded. "Acceptable." "There's one more condition," Patricia Morrison said, her voice stern. "If this relationship continues, you must both complete quarterly ethics certifications confirming there is no conflict of interest. Any future violations will result in immediate termination for Ms. Martinez and removal from the CEO position for Mr. Cross. Are we clear?" "Crystal clear," Damien said. "Ms. Martinez?" Linda asked. "I understand and agree to the terms." Linda closed the folder. "Then we're done here. Ms. Martinez, you'll start in the Strategic Planning Division on Monday, reporting to Robert Chen. Your new supervisor is expecting you." Strategic planning was actually a promotion in everything but title, more responsibility, higher visibility, and significantly more challenging work. As we stood to leave, Catherine Cross approached me. "Ms. Martinez, might I have a word?" Damien squeezed my hand once before leaving with the others, giving us privacy. Catherine was an elegant woman in her 60s, with the same dark eyes as her son and an aura of quiet strength. "I wanted to introduce myself properly," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Catherine Cross, Damien's mother. And I believe I owe you a thank you." "Mrs. Cross, I'm not sure. My son has been married to his work for the past decade. Building his empire, proving himself, achieving success after success. But he forgot how to live, how to be happy." Her smile was warm. "Then you came along, and suddenly he's smiling again. Laughing. Taking Sundays off to see his family instead of working 16-hour days. You reminded him that there's more to life than balance sheets and board meetings." "I love him," I said simply. "I know. I can see it in the way you look at him. And in the way he looks at you, like you hung the moon." She patted my hand. "I fought for you in that board meeting, not just because you're talented, but because I believe you're good for my son. Don't let this setback shake your confidence. You earned your place here, and you'll continue to succeed on your own merit." "Thank you, Mrs. Cross. That means more than you know. Call me Catherine. And perhaps you'll join us for Sunday dinner sometime? I'd love to get to know the woman who captured my impossible son's heart. I'd like that very much." Chapter 17. Damien was waiting in his office when I emerged from the conference room. The moment the door closed behind me, he pulled me into his arms. "We did it," he breathed. "You still have your job, we can be together openly, and the world didn't end. You donated $10 million. Worth every penny." He pulled back to look at me. "Are you okay with the reassignment? Strategic planning is actually a great opportunity. Robert Chin is supposed to be an excellent mentor, and the division works on high-level strategy across the entire company. It's actually a step up. I told the board you deserved a promotion, not a reassignment disguised as punishment. Did you really just admit to advocating for me after everything we just went through about conflicts of interest?" His grin was unrepentant. I recused myself from the formal decision-making. "I didn't say I couldn't state my opinion that you're brilliant and deserve recognition." I laughed despite everything. "You're impossible. But you love me anyway." "I do. God help me, but I really do." He kissed me softly, and for the first time in days, I felt the tension leave my body. We'd made it through the crisis. Scarred and bruised, but together. "So what now?" I asked. "Now I take you to dinner. A real date, like you asked for. Somewhere public and fancy where everyone can see that Damien Cross is completely smitten with Sophia Martinez. Tonight? Tonight. I'm not waiting another second to show the world you're mine." His expression grew serious. "Unless you need more time? I don't want to rush you or make you uncomfortable. No rushing necessary. I'm ready to stop hiding." I smiled up at him. "Take me to dinner, Damien Cross. Let's show Manhattan what we've got." That evening, Damien took me to Le Bernardine, one of the finest restaurants in Manhattan, the kind of place that required reservations months in advance and where everyone who was anyone in New York society could be found. I wore a stunning red dress that Damien had sent over, after I'd finally agreed to accept gifts from him, and felt like $1 million walking in on his arm. The maitre d' greeted Damien by name and showed us to a prime table by the window. I was aware of heads turning, whispers starting, phones discreetly snapping photos. By morning, we'd be all over the society pages and gossip blogs. And I didn't care. "You're sure about this?" Damien asked once we were seated, his hand covering mine on the table. Once we do this, there's no taking it back. Everyone will know. Let them know. I'm done hiding. I'm done being afraid of what people will think. I squeezed his hand. I love you, and I'm not ashamed of that. His smile could have lit up the entire city. I love you too. So damn much. We ordered wine and appetizers, and Damien told me stories about his first days building cross industries, making me laugh with tales of near disasters and impossible odds. I told him about growing up in Texas, my dreams of making it in New York, the struggles and triumphs that had shaped me. We talked and laughed like we were the only two people in the restaurant, even though I was aware of the attention we were drawing. They're all staring, I murmured between courses. Let them. You're the most beautiful woman here, and I want everyone to know you're with me. Possessive much? When it comes to you? Absolutely. His eyes darkened with heat. You're mine, Sophia. I want the whole world to know it. The intensity in his voice sent shivers through me. And you're mine. Always. After dinner, he suggested a walk through Central Park despite the cold. We strolled hand in hand, his arm around me, my head on his shoulder, and for the first time since this whole mess started, I felt truly at peace. What are you thinking about? He asked. How much has changed in 6 weeks? How different everything is now. Better or worse? I looked up at him, this brilliant, complicated, wonderful man who'd turned my world upside down. Better. Definitely better. Even with the scandal and the investigation and the reprimand? Even with all of that. Because I have you. And that's worth everything. He stopped walking, pulling me close. Sophia Martinez, you are the best thing that's ever happened to me. Better than any business success, better than any acquisition or achievement. You make me want to be better, do better, live better. I feel the same way about you. Good. Because I'm not letting you go. Ever. He kissed me there in Central Park, with the city lights twinkling around us and the cold winter air biting at our skin, and it felt like a promise. A promise of more moments like this. More challenges overcome together. More love built on trust and honesty and the courage to risk everything for what we wanted. When we finally made it back to his penthouse, he carried me straight to his bedroom, and we spent the rest of the night showing each other exactly what we meant to each other.